But does that then mean that the SIP...
But having said that, my brother, the thing is that the task of national security ultimately rests with the federal government. The governors don't control any army. They don't even control the police. You know, they can only ask for help.
Dr. Mailafia, if I may come in here,
yes.
Let's look at the economic situation now. You've just said here that the task of national security rests on the federal government.
Yes.
But the task of a national economy is not just to the federal government. It's federal, state, and local government.
Exactly.
So let's look at the entire process all the way down. The ease of doing business, for instance,
Sure.
the government came up with. It's been implemented in some parts, and some will say it's made things a lot easier.
Sure.
But some states have not domesticated it. So you go to some states here, it's not very easy for you to invest or to set up an industry to create employment in those states, and even down to the local government.
Well,
how do you think that works?
No, a lot of that is going, but you also mentioned local government. Do we still have local governments? We have something that looks like local government, but there are hardly any local governments. The state governors have usurped the constitutional powers of local governments. They keep the purse.
Even though some of them just did elections.
They did elections, but these are just kangaroo elections. You know, you have good reason to doubt. I mean, Kaduna State, how much did they spend on elections? Something like 11 billion, is it? 7 or 11? I think 7 billion naira. Come on, for a state government to spend 7 billion on local government elections, that is stupendous.
No, but you do know that they came up with an innovation which they introduced, so that might have been where the money went. Electronic voting for their local government elections.
If it is that expensive, then I'm sorry. This is a ghastly waste of Kaduna State funds. I wouldn't spend that amount of money on that. But you are right. State governments have a duty to make the environment, the ecosystem good for business. If they don't, it's their lookout, and it is for their voters to vote them out the next time. We need more and more states to be doing something that we can be proud of. You know, I think people like Ambode in Lagos are doing reasonably well.
But then there's that part of...
in Rivers, I think they're doing a good job.
There's that part of the tax regime. Now, some people running businesses in the states complain about multiple taxation, being taxed at the federal and at the state. What do you think about Nigeria's tax policy generally, and how is that affecting the economy? Things
have improved, let's be honest, and kudos to the government. Tax revenues have almost doubled, and income from the customs have also massively increased. We have a very good customs controller general of customs. He's doing an excellent job. The tax people are doing an excellent job. We are seeing improvements. But in places like Lagos, they have to be a bit more careful because, you know, there's what they call, you know, a Laffer curve for debt, for taxation. You can get so much revenue when you tax people to a certain level. And beyond that point, actually, you're going to lose money because people will say, what the heck? Do I have to do this? I'm working for the government, I might as well pack it. Lagos is reaching that dangerous level where there are multiple taxations. A lot of the taxes have been cashiered out to private consultants who are putting their heavy markups. And I find it iniquitous. And I think the business of taxation should be the business of government. Kick out all the consultants out of it. That money they are making, some of them almost 20%. It's daylight robbery. So kick out those consultants. Train people in taxation. We don't even have a taxation school in this country. We need a school of taxation where federal, state, local government, everybody will be trained. We need qualified tax officials. I studied in France. Taxation is one area they don't joke with in their public finance. There's very serious training of people there, and they send them out to collect the taxes, and they pay them well.
So do you think it's possible then, you know, because you talked about this despondency you have witnessed.
Yes.
I'm wondering if it's possible, if you say that some states are doing really well in support what the federal government is doing. You know, the state should be closer to the people. People should be able to feel more. Is it possible then that polls that were conducted that maybe show that Nigerians are feeling better about the state of things could have been limited to some states, for instance?
Well, yeah, surveys of this types are done across the country, and the law of averages applies. This is the average feeling of how people feel. And I'll give you a very good example of a state I love very much for some funny reason. I don't know why. I love Akwa Ibom. I love the people. I like the state. I like the ambience. But you talk, and they have fantastic streets, beautiful buildings. But talk to and I like talking to young people, students and the rest of it. They are very despairing in Akwa Ibom because there are no jobs. You have fine buildings, fine roads, but there's nothing for them to do. So you'll be surprised that even in those places that seem to be visibly doing well, there is still a lot of despair as well as despondency, especially among young people. Of course, Lagos might not particularly be in that category because if you look at actually the average for youth unemployment, Lagos, Ogun are among the lowest at about, I think, 10% thereabouts, whereas other states, we're talking on a national average of 24%, and the Northeast is as bad as 60%. And in places like Zamfara, it's as bad as 70%. So, but if you take the average, generally, I think we have not helped our young people. We've treated them very badly. They are the majority, but they have no voice. They have no hope. And we haven't made them proud to be Nigerians and to look to a country where they have a future. And it is very sad.
All right, we'll have to anchor at the point. Dr. Obada Mailafia is a former Deputy Governor of the CBN and a socio-economist policy analyst. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
We will be back in a moment. Don't go away.